folks. Welcome back to the Lawrence Jameson Show, the Junebug edition, or you might call it the Get My Army Ready for the 8th edition. So, it's been about a couple of weeks between the videos because, as everybody knows, is that Warhammer 40,000, the new 8th edition, dropped down. And, we ain't had time to put out a lot of videos, as I'm touring around, touring the world doing concerts. And, at this time of year, I'm over there in England playing in that Primaris League, soccer. Some people call it football, it's soccer. And I'm very, very busy, and it's just amazement I can get anything done in the hobby world and all. So anyway, Lawrence called me up from over in England, and he's talking about he's upset on some of the thumbnails and things we put out before, misleading or whatever. I didn't anyway. Trying to clickbait, he's talking about, I don't know. But anyway, according to all that, and the lawyers got involved and whatnot, so, and then they cut all the funding from us. So, we ain't got none of them Hollywood special effects, like words going across the bottom of your screen or anything. So, it's just gotta be like this, I'm not the one in charge, so. Yeah, and so now that legally frees us or whatnot to go on. And so anyway, like I said, the new 40K came out. Everybody knows what's going on with that new 40K. And I done had a couple of battles of it because, I was playing Sigmar already. And I've been having some bad luck with the editing of my battle reports. And it's just going on and on. I played an 8-hour battle the other day, and everybody probably going to get to see it. I played against 100 Blood Reavers, and the video ended up being, it's not going to be able to be published. But that's another long story. But anyway, what has happened with this 8th edition here, the 8th edition has come out, and I've drug out a whole daggum army of some chaos that I've had, some of them since way, way back. And I done joined up with a league over in Meeple Madness, over in Flowery Branch. And it's a very, very nice store. If you probably look them up on the internet and all. But they got a league going, and it's kind of like, they're calling it a pod league, where they put in everybody's in a certain pod. If you're running the infantry list and whatnot, you ain't gonna be thrown in there with no knights and bane blades and whatnot. People that want to run them certain type of detachments. But what they're saying is you gotta run a battle forged army, which is usually at these point values they finna give you is a patrol or a battalion, and we are gonna run power points, which we're gonna talk about here in a minute, versus regular points, and they're running a PowerPoint system where everybody's gotta have a list of 20 points, 30 points, 40 points, and 50 points. And then when you meet up with opponents in your pod, which they got it all scheduled out, who you're going to play and all whatnot. When you meet up with your opponents, then you're going to agree within the opponents, because some opponents, might just have the box set. The new box set, that might be all they have. And some people might have a massive armies might have a big enough army right here they can pick and choose from and make a big old list. But they got it if you're going to agree on a point with your opponent and then play the match and all. So I think it's going to be a pretty good system. Now I don't know if John Fowler down there come up with it, but if he did, I think it might be a pretty good system to see what's going on with it. So what I've done drug out is I'm really a little bit heartbroken now. Because I had, I painted up one of them Nurgle armies for the store down there, and I wanted to just jump on another Nurgle army and get it all together. But you know what, man? I'm gonna wait till they got a few more Nurgle Marines coming out, which should be soon, and expand the line a little bit more, and maybe where I can get that bloat drone without having to buy a whole daggone box set. Then I think I'm gonna concentrate up on my Nurgles. But for right now, as you can see, I got a fair little Khorne and a Sons of Horus type army from a way back there that I'm gonna drag out for this 8th edition. Now a lot of them didn't sit the bench too long. Some of them, has been playing in 5th editions and such and 3rd and whatever for all of them. But some of them has been sitting the bench. These little old Terminators, and I'm gonna go through this army here in a minute and talk about it. And then I'm gonna discuss just a little bit real quick about some of the 50-point lists that I got and some of the 40-point lists that I got in 30s. And I ain't made no 20s yet because that's getting down to the very small warband size. Now, what I've done here is I've started out to where I wanted to maximize some command points. So I wanted to make a battalion detachment where I got 2 headquarters and I got to take 3 troops. And so I wrote up several, man. Actually, I wrote up battalions. I got about 5 battalions and several patrols at 50 points. And a lot of them, some of them's led by this Demon Prince right here, which I have to get painted on right now. I've got him ready to start the sketching, ready to put the metallics on him in a sketch style. Then I'm going to get him done real quick. He's usually going to be a leader. I got Abaddon, an old Abaddon that can be a leader. A Chaos Lord here that was with the Black Legion right here that can be a leader. This thing Sorcerer, who's a very old model that from a B-17. He's one of the old, the very first Beaky's sergeants. Plastic Sergeant had done turned himself to the Renus powers. And these are some of the newer Terminators, I reckon, from around 2009-ish, 2010. They got newer ones than that with better spikes and all, but them is, definitely Chaos Terminators. Of course, these are the very first Chaos Terminators in metal. Over here, you got a squad of Beakies, the very first plastic Beakies that used to be Ultramarines. And of course, they turned themselves to the Renus powers as well and was working for, Sons of Horus. And there's another tactical squad from a little bit later on, 2nd or 3rd edition, when they got into the higher armor marks. Here's a set which you now would probably call Chosen, which I'm going to chop up, and that's why I'm so daggum heartbroken for real. I'm a little bit tore up because I chopped up these dang Primaris Marines for just scenery and dead bodies and such on scenery and bases from a Death Guard. And then I seen on the internet today a fella named Mike Cummins is like an internet buddy of mine with a painting and all. And he's done painted up some of these Primaris in the World Eater Marines, which is what these Khornes are. Anyway, I seen a World Eater Primaris today, and that means the day they turned to Chaos. And I could have had them fellas turn to Chaos instead of chopping them all up, but it's too late now. But anyway, neither here nor there. Got a Devastator squad made out of Beakies as well. I had a fair amount of them daggum Ultramarine Beakies turned to the dark side there. Here's a number of Khorne Berserkers, as well as Khorne, the first Khorne model himself, and a Khorne champion there with a very sweet axe. And along with this pile, they need a little doctrine and fixing on and touching some paint and all, and they'll be ready to join these fellas over here. And I'm gonna be able to field about 30 of them right there. Now over here, I'm going to talk about these vehicles, and I'll save them for last. Not just because these vehicles. This one here was originally a Rhino. I reckon it was. And I took an old Panzer I turret and scratch built them what I'm called Lay's cannons on it. And I threw all this chaos, for Citadel chaos junk all over it. I believe that was a ring from a Halloween thing, that skull right there. And if you look real close, you will see that these daggone sponsons are Land Raiders from Epic Scale. They sure are, from Epic Space Marine, and they're Land Raiders. And so, but anyway, over the years, that got turned silly, because back in the day, man, you had to build your own stuff. It just wasn't supplying everything. They had it in the books. They wasn't supplying it. This in here is the first Land Raiders that they ever come down the pipe with. Excuse me, I done turned this one to a Avernus Power, a Sons of Horus. And if you look closely up here, I believe that's some guns off of that Dark Future car. And I'm playing them as or had been forever playing them as, whatever's the twin link bolter or combi bolter, or whatever the flavor of the year they had thrown up on them Chaos Land Raiders. But and see, it's got some more iconic, icons and what